confused by this whole thing. She wanted me to, like, go over to their house and, like, I don't know, like, help them with stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll go on my way. I'm going to podcasting. And, like, the silence of, like, you're doing what? Where? I don't think that she was really super impressed by me coming to Austin for a podcasting thing. But point being, we're here together. We're learning about podcasting. I haven't seen you in a really long time. So I think that we should do 2 bonus episodes. 1, I have a whole bunch of questions I want to ask you. Okay. And then 2, you have expressed interest in, like, going over Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
Okay, I really want to talk about that. But I think that needs to be, like, a separate episode so that people can have, like, a spoiler-free one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to start by telling a story about you, Miranda, and then we can just, like, talk. Okay. So, first of all, you're, like, an adorable 7th grader and extremely talented, such a good writer. Like, the way that I met you was actually when your sister, when she was one of my students, she brought you in, and you were a 6th grader, and you're like, Miss Cheka, you have to meet my sister, Miranda. She's such a good writer. And, like, you already had, like, a composition book filled with your writing. And so I met you before you were even my student. And then, in fact, like, when you were my student, you were amazing. And you had beautiful penmanship. And then in the 8th grade, you were, like, you know, in the school play. You're so talented. And then I left teaching. I went to...
She just left me.
Yeah, I just left. I went to graduate school, which was so hard.
Which was also, like, boss bitch moves, though.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it really is.
Thank you. It was really... I cried a lot. Like, it was really stressful. It was really hard. Which is why I think we have a lot to talk about now.
Can't even imagine I barely got through my first semester.
Oh, we're going there. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But I want to say this. That, like, I always feel like I owe you one because you sent me this care package. So you were in high school, I was in graduate school, and you sent me this care package. Do you remember this care package? Do you remember what was in it?
It was a bunch of tiny little... I just got a brand new stationery, and I was really happy about it. It was, like, a bunch of tiny little envelopes and, like, a bunch of tiny little note cards. And I was like, I'm just going to send a care package to... I sent one to you and to my best friend, Vanessa, who was... You also taught in the same class.
Yes.
Because I just missed y'all a lot, and just high school was so different, and I think I was like, I miss them a lot. So
these tiny envelopes all had, like, different situations.
Yes.
So it was, like, open in case of, open when you need, open whatever. And then there was a mixtape.
Yes. With some music I thought Miss Cheka would like, because Miss Cheka introduced me to a lot of songs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when you would always put on music during class. And
Yeah.
it was just like, I was like, and I'll, like, listen to it later and put it on my phone.
That was my study music.
Yeah.
That was my study music.
Which,
but, like,
I now have a study mix on Spotify.
Yes. So it was like such an encouragement to me. You know, it was just a huge encouragement to me.
Did you open them when you...
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, those were a lifeline. Those really meant a lot to me. I still, like, that mix CD is, like, right now in my car.
Aww.
Yeah. No, I like, yes. And, like, it also made me the cool kid everywhere. Because, you know, usually it's not typical that, like, you get the care packages from students, you know.
I also feel like me and Miss Cheka were, like, best friends when I was in middle school.
Oh, you were delightful.
We were together a lot, I feel like.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say, you know, thank you, Miranda. And also, I want to say, but I feel like now you understand more, like, why a care package like that would be so...
100%.
Because college is really hard.
Okay, but you guys don't even understand. Miss Cheka went to Harvard. Like, that's, like... I don't think she slept at all. I didn't ate very much.
Nuh-uh.
I don't think she had very much of a social life, maybe.
Yeah, I had 2 jobs.
Oh, my
full
goodness.
class load. Yeah, I did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, but we are right now in UT campus, which is where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, what year are you in?
I'm a freshman.
You're a freshman, so this is intense.
So it was a big change.
It's like a big old change, so that's why I feel like we have, like, we can like have that conversation now in the way that we couldn't have when you were still in high school.
I don't know if you went through this problem, but I felt like so beginning of the semester, no one really told me how homesick that I would get. And I'm not even that far away. Like, I'm 3 hours away. If my mom wanted to come see me, she could. But I got extremely homesick, and I just wanted to go back home. Like, I was like, I'm ready to go back to UTA or TCC. I don't care what it takes. I just need to be somewhere where I'm familiar with. And at the time, my dad just moved to Atlanta, He got a job over there.
Oh,
so
wow.
like me, my sister, my mom, my dad, we're all in separate places, and we've never done that before.
Yeah, that's hard.
Did you ever go through that, like freshman year?
So my freshman year of college, I couldn't afford to go home. Like, all through college, I could only ever afford to go home either Thanksgiving or Christmas, but never both. And my freshman year, I couldn't afford to go home for spring break.
Yeah.
So there was like a good 6-month stretch that I didn't go home, and that ripped the Band-Aid butt hard.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is because I was so cut off from Texas and from my family and whatever, like even now, I'm like the friends that I have that I am closest to are people that I knew from my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
Because we were like everything to each other. But it was hard. I mean, like there's no way of like softening. Like, you can't go home when you get sick. You can't do your laundry there. People don't like you like. For graduate school, like while I was at Harvard, one thing that I didn't like think about how this would affect me is like by that point in my life, my self-image was so much about being a teacher, but I wasn't a teacher there.
Yeah.
You know,
You're a student.
Yeah, I was a student. And so like I would really, like, I didn't know quite what to do with myself when people are like, you know, who are you? And like, what's your thing? And I'll be like, well, I mean, I have this other life in Texas where I have this, you know, like self-perception. So I think like it's not like directly related to the homesickness.
A lot of people do that here. They're like, oh yeah, like tell us about you. And I want to be like, I just got here. Like I haven't really started my story yet. What happened in the past is like that's who I was in high school and in middle school and elementary school. Like I was student body president, but I can't tell you that now because I don't know. It's just not, it was a big part of the past me. Yeah. I'm still trying to see what I'm going to do, what my path is, and then I can tell you this is what I do. I'm a journalism student. I'm a part of this. I'm a part of that, and that's who I am right now.
So tell me about why journalism?
I knew I liked to write, but I don't know if I want to write about the stuff that everyone else wants to write. Like I think I'm the only person that doesn't want to like be on CNN or like I would like to talk to the president, but I don't think I would want to be like.
I mean, but do you?
Exactly. Like that's like a journalism scoop. Like everyone, that's like a dream scoop. But I was like, I don't want to talk to this guy. Like I don't want to talk to, you know, all these senators who are just going to make me mad, and I can't say anything, can't put my opinion in my writing because I'm a journalist. I have to be. Like, the more I'm learning about journalism, the more I'm like, I don't know if this is what I want to do, which is okay.
Right.
You know, I'm allowed to change my mind about different things. I just don't know if, you know, what I want to write about is what.
But also, like, journalism is so many different things. Yeah. Like, all the things that you're naming are political.
Yes.
But, like, there's so many other scoops, sort of like
television
culture.
Yeah.
Like, culture, movies, you know, like, all kinds of stuff.
I definitely told one of my professors, I was like, I think I kind of want to, like, work on like TMZ or like something gross like that for a little bit. Like I think that'd be really interesting, like work with celebrities and like talk about pop culture all the time. He's like, oh, because you know everyone here is just politics. Like that's our number one thing, you know. And I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but that sounds kind of interesting, at least. Like television journalism, you know, radio journalism, podcasting sounds really interesting because I can at least talk about things I want to talk about. And I can make whatever story I want to make.
But this is, I mean, okay. This is pure, like, personal opinion here. But I like, so, as you know, I, like, grew up on Mexican soap operas. And I like literature, and I like a lot of plot, and like whatever. And I think that there's this, like, completely false dichotomy that, like, some culture is acceptable.
Yeah.
And, like, you can be proud of.
Yeah.
And, like, other culture you have to be sheepish and apologetic about. And, like, I sort of don't buy into that. You know, like, you can be a serious person who is, like, wanting to analyze and interpret and, like, consume popular culture.
Yeah.
Right? You know, but you can also be like serious. Kind of a shallow person who's just a political junkie. It just you know, like people who follow, like, because I am somebody who like consumes a lot of like politics, not always, but like the last couple of years has turned me into like definitely somebody who follows a lot of stuff. But like I don't think that gives me some sort of like moral high ground that I'm a more serious person. You know, and I think that I think you got to resist that a little bit.
I feel like that's what I've been taught here, or like at least the environment. It's just like, you know, very serious, very straight on. I'm just like, I don't want to take it that seriously. I just want to have fun with it and explore it, kind of.
Well, but there's spaces for all things, you know, like I think that it's important as like a citizen of this country to like interest yourself in like the big issues of the day. But, you know, I to say that you're like an unserious person because you're interested in pop culture is also like, yeah, you know, no, you know, like, no, like, you know how much I love like Charles Dickens? Like who the hell remembers like what political thing was going on in the 1840s, right? Like nobody remembers the like nuances of like what was going on in Parliament unless they're like a specialized thing. But like we still watch A Christmas Carol in movie form.
Yes.
You know, like popular culture is culture.
Yes.
And like paying attention to it and thinking about it is, I think that's a totally valid desire. And I think that you're also right to like, you know, you don't have to like do any one area of journalism forever.
Yeah.
I would love to see you creating things.
I definitely thought about it.
Because you have like a unique point of view. You're a really good storyteller.
I don't know. I'm so scared. I mean, the reason I also am in journalism is because they're teaching me so much, and I have so many resources here. And so I know that as soon as I'm learning everything and I'm learning as I go, like I did not learn about podcasts until like maybe junior year in high school.
Well, that's like, you know, seeing I mean, just being here, I, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking like, God, I would have loved this in college.
Yeah.
Like I would have really have loved this in college.
I'm grateful that I'm in a major that I don't find completely boring. Like I couldn't imagine sitting through a STEM class. Actually, I did sit through a STEM class and nearly, you know, died.
Yeah, can we talk about that?
Yeah. So I took geology, you guys, intro geology class, except it wasn't. So I told my advisor, I'm like, I'm really struggling. Is there any way I can drop this class? And she was like, nope, because then you would be considered a full-time student. She's like, I can understand why you're struggling because you're in a intro to geology class for geology majors.
What the heck?
And I was like, I literally said that. I was like, what?
Because when I took geology, it was like very explicitly the not for majors. It was like the rocks for jocks, which I also like pretty much failed. I was not a stellar rock student.
And I had my friends tutor me, and they're like, you got this. And I studied way more than I needed to. I stayed up till 5, 6 a.m. I studied the entire day. And then I ended up failing my final exam. And then my teacher gave me some extra points, my professor, and she was like, because I know you're in here and I know you've worked really hard. And it was just one of those, it was just so discouraging. Like I remember crying to my dad and I was like, I worked so hard and I didn't get the outcome that I wanted. And he was like, it's just one of those times, this is how college works and you're going to have to get used to it.
Yeah.
And it was just a real wake-up call because I was so excited to get out of here. And that was my last final. And then immediately when I took the final, grabbed my stuff and like went home with my mom, like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And I was like, I cannot feel like that anymore.
Well, I think that one thing that I struggle with in graduate school is like when I look back on like undergrad and I think of like the Rocks for Jocks class that I bombed, like I know why I bombed it. Like I didn't pay attention. I didn't do the reading. I was a slacker, you know. I just wanted to hang out in the coffee shop with my friends. When I think about the classes that I really struggle with in graduate school, what was really humbling for me is that I was trying. Like that was me like maximum library studying, reading. It was just really hard for me, and that was that's something that I think about a lot as a teacher. I mean, like anytime you're a teacher and you have the experience of being a student, it changes the way that you teach, right? But like something that I think about a lot on like what like kind of the energy that I put out in the universe and like the stuff is like either I can spend my life like putting myself in situations where I know that I'm not going to fail, you know, which in my case like at ed school would have been like there was a class on YA literature, which like, I know a lot about it, but I know a lot about it like coming in because it's my job. It's like my literal job is middle schoolers and books, you know. But the class I really struggle with was neuroscience, like cognitive neuroscience. Like my starting point was like give me a diagram of the brain, you know, like it just that's totally outside of my realm of expertise. But hands down, the class that I learned the most in is a neuroscience class because I knew the least coming in. So like I either put myself in situations where I know I'm going to do well, but then, like, the price is that, like, but I didn't really learn that much.
I'm not challenged.
Or put myself in situations where I get my butt kicked, but I learn a lot, but then I also cry a lot.
Yeah.
You know, that's hard. So I think, like, your dad's advice is solid on, like, college is just a different animal.
It honestly is, and no one prepared me for that. I mean, high school did a little bit. I stressed out a little bit in high school, but looking back at it, I was like, wow, what a life I had. I was really living. I studied maybe a class before I took my test, and got 100 on it. And then I could do extra credit, so I boosted my grade up even more, and I was really living my life back then. I was thriving back then.
Well, it's like, I mean, it's a humbling experience if you've gone K through 12 as, like if you're a smart kid, if you just pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, it just happens.
If you just literally try.
Like,
you put in effort.
Yes. Like, you're awake in class, you know, you, like, follow along, then it's going to do it. And then, like, you just hit this point where, like, no, it's not enough. And it's really humbling. It's really hard.
I was in high school with this one girl who feeded off of other people, like, their answers. It was like, could you please help me on this? And at one point I was like, yeah, I'll help you, but I'm not going to give you the answers. And she was like, that's fine. But at one point I realized by my helping her, I did give her the answers. Without even noticing, I really thought she was genuinely learning. Yeah. And then I took a step back and I was like, I don't know how you're going to do this in college. Like, there's no way you're going to survive in college. And I don't know how she's doing, but I can just confirm that there are people who really did not even try, like, didn't even put an effort in.
I mean, yeah, that's my life. that is, like, totally...
Speaking of kids, let's talk about your kids now.
Okay, ask me anything.
Okay, are they better than us? Are they worse than us? Or are they nicer than us? Were we bad? Were we bad? Who's your favorite student besides me?
Okay, first of all, you guys were a really special class.
Aww.
I feel like we listened to a lot of music together. Yeah, we read a lot of books together.
Do you not do that anymore?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do. I just, like, have like particularly warm memories of you guys. Like, you guys let me also sing along using my red pen as a microphone. Yeah. And I feel like my current kids might judge me a little bit. Like, I was very relaxed with you guys. So, like, I mean, kids are kids. They're like, every new batch is fun and interesting and add something different, kind of keep me on my toes. But we're getting laptops.
Interesting.
The 8th graders all had laptops this year, and next year, like, 7th graders will also have laptops.
I'm confused. Did y'all never have, like, the Dell laptops? You know, the big clunky black ones?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, kids have laptops to take home. They've got Chromebooks to take home. Like, you guys didn't have laptops to take home.
We didn't, but we had them in high school, like, starting freshman year.
Yeah, but this is different. It's different for us. We've never had that.
Really? That's very interesting.
Yeah, we're broke. I mean, like, that's what it is. We're broke.
I just thought...
It was actually the last time that I was in Austin. I was here at the state capitol to, like, with my little hat in my hand to beg for money from state legislators.
And did you get any money?
They're voting. They're voting on a Senate bill. They've already voted on a House bill. And I'm on tenterhooks.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, like, this is, like, going back to, like, what your professors are saying about, like, seriousness or whatever. I feel like there's that of, like, yeah, like, I care about politics to the extent that, like, it affects, like, it affects me, it affects my job, it affects whatever, but, like, I would prefer to, like, not care about politics. Like, my preference is that, like, you know, school would be funded, you know, we wouldn't be, like, jailing little kids at the border. Like, it would be my...
ask for basic human rights.
Right. Yeah. Like, my preference would be, I would just like to think about Shakespeare all the time and not have to do that. I don't feel like it makes me, like, it's not, like, I feel like, you know, it's not, it doesn't make my character better to care about politics. It's just, like, because our country's, like, a hot mess. Yeah. And so I have to care about it. And I have to do stuff. But, like, yeah, no, my preference is, like, Shakespeare. If I had to spend my time that way. But know that like, I don't know what you're asking me about, like, good or better. Like, they're cute. They're gross. Like, all middle schoolers are bad kids. Literally all middle schoolers are, like, do you know that when I'm in public and I say I teach middle school, people flinch? People, like, visibly flinch.
Okay, so another question I have is actually for my sister. So my sister's graduating next year. And she is education major.
Whoa!
She wants to teach. She's
Whoa!
Literally since we were little,
Why didn't you tell me this before so I could stage an intervention?
Oh my god! Oh my god, you're scaring me.
Yeah, no, it's hard.
When we're little, like she'd be like, let's go play teacher, and I'd be like, oh yeah, and we'd like print out little copies online, the little fill in the blank spelling ones, and she'd be like, oh, but I'm gonna be the teacher and you're gonna be the student. I was like, okay. But yeah, now she's gonna get a real job and she's gonna be a real teacher, and I just what is some advice that you have for her?
Okay, some advice for me on first of all, like what like high school, middle school, elementary school, does she have a preference?
I remember she wanted to do middle school last time I talked to her about it, but this was also like maybe a year ago.
Okay.
She's interning next year, so she won't be at UNT anymore on the campus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay, some generalized teacher advice and then some specialized middle school teacher advice on like one. You're not saving anybody. You're not like, okay, this is like a mini rant on like the perception of teachers in this country is really dysfunctional. Like the fact that there is a whole movie genre of inspirational teachers is really messed up.
Yeah.
Because like I just feel like in this country we have this idea that like we want teachers to be like magical martyrs. Like you can't just be competent. You need to be like unbelievably inspiring and like, you know, self-sacrificial and all these things, which allows society to like not pay us a fair wage. And like there's stuff that I didn't even have to contend with when I became a teacher, and I haven't been teaching that long, which is like Pinterest and like Instagram, which I put in the same category as like the inspirational teacher model of like society has this image, and when you're starting out teaching, it just feel like a failure every day. You feel like a failure like every single minute because the expectation is that you're supposed to be this like, again, magical, inspiring, and now on top of it, your classroom is supposed to look like Instagram, and you're supposed to have these like really like charming things that happen with your students every day.
Handshakes when they walk in.
Yeah, right, like all the stuff, and then on top of it, like, you know, there's a lot of rhetoric and kind of organizations around like, you know, ed reform stuff that like put this kind of savior aspect to what you're doing of like, you know, like you're gonna go amongst the like underprivileged orphans, and by your very presence, you know, you're gonna rescue them and all this stuff, and then like, no, you're not. Yeah. Like you're a human. Yeah. You know, you're a human. It's so one, you feel like a failure a lot. Like you cry a lot your first year. And then two, it's depending on what school you're in. Like our country, like when we talk about like inner city schools or like Title I schools, whatever, the country is an inner city school.
Can you clarify what a Title I?
Yeah, Title I is when more than 50% of the students are below the poverty level.
Interesting.
And the majority, I mean, into the 70% of students in this country, like kids in this country, are below the poverty level. So it's like, again, like the movie version is like you're in the inner city in the Bronx, but the reality is like ALA is Title I.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like I teach at a Title I school. You went to a Title I school. Like Title I schools are like, that's, you know, stuff. And if you have never been around poverty, that's also very shocking if you're a first year teacher. Like kids are going through things that maybe you didn't experience in your own life, and like you feel like a failure because like you want to fix things for them and you can't. Yeah. You know. So like my generalized teacher advice is like put the reality hat on, right? Like your role as a teacher is not to be like Pinterest perfect. It's not to be like everything in the universe. Like your role is to do a competent job in whatever subject you're going to do, right? So like rather than being like a really crappy savior of the 7th grade, I just focus on being like a really good English teacher, because that's something that I can't do in a school year, is like I can help 7th graders become better readers and writers. And like if I focus on that scope and whether I'm doing that effectively or not, you know, then that makes it much more likely that I'm actually doing it. And I'm much more gentle on myself on like, okay, it doesn't look perfect every minute. I make a lot of mistakes. There's so many ways every year that I see things that could be, you know, better or whatever. But I just ask myself constantly, like, am I being an effective, like, helper of kids to be better readers and writers? Like, yes or no? So, like, that's the thing, because, so that's like a generalized teacher thing of, like, you are not, like, the starring, you know, in, you know, Stand By Me. You're just Miss Vilchis or Miss Cheka, whatever, like, trying to do your best. And kids don't need you to be, like, magical. They just need you to be, like, good at what you're doing. So that's one. And then, like, specific to middle school, like, fully 75% of middle school is social stuff.
Interesting.
Like, fully 75% of, like, it's so hard to be a 13-year-old. It's really hard to be a 13-year-old. Like, it's just devastating. Your best friend doesn't sit next to you in a cafeteria. It's devastating when, like, your first crush doesn't like you back. Like, it's, like, all of those things are so devastating in a way that, like, it just...
Middle school in particular, there's so many things going on.
There's so many things going on. So, like, you're doing nouns and verbs, but you're also just, like, loving on kids as much as possible.
Yeah.
And helping them just, like, survive those 3 years. You know, like, baby birds in the nest.
Yeah.
And you just gotta, like, help them keep it together till high school. You know? And like...
Because while I'm learning, like, noun and verbs, I'm also getting armpit hair, and I'm like, this has never happened before.
Oh, yeah.
I also, you know, got my period in 6th grade.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, this is interesting. Never done this before, and I hate my life.
Yeah.
Hate my life.
You have, like, no control of your life. Like, they both, like, they all think that they are, like, 13 going on 35.
Yeah.
But if we have, like, a school field trip, they all will bring, like, their pet pillow.
Oh.
You know, like, it's
pillow
that. Yeah, it's that. Of, like,
Do you guys still go to...
not nearly as much as we did when you were a kid.
Well, I mean, not field trips, but do you guys still go to 8th grade trip? We went every year.
They don't go to Fort Davis anymore.
Where do they go?
They go to a different place. I don't go on that trip, but it has, like, a ropes course and, like, all kinds of things.
Is it better or worse?
Well, I've never been on it. I kind of don't have an interest in going on it. The kids love it.
Yeah.
I just, like, loved Fort Davis.
I think, Fort Davis was a staple moment in my childhood, preteen years. I feel like after Fort Davis, our 8th grade class got so much closer as friends. Like,
well, because Fort Davis it's just to clarify for listeners, if you're not from Texas, Fort Davis is an actual fort. It's in far, far, far west Texas, and it's
freezing.
A solid 8-hour bus trip from our school, and then we stay there for several days in a dude ranch. They ride horses, we, like, do all the stuff, and so it's like a bonding experience on a lot of levels. I have to say, the one year that I was a chaperone for that trip,
were you on it on our year?
I don't think so.
I think it was only Dr. Gordon.
Yeah. Okay. Here, in fact, like, this is a Dr. Gordon story, right?
Okay.
So I learned not to fall asleep on the bus because, I have a lot of anxiety around field trips. Yeah. Like, when I have anxiety dreams, they're often, like, I'm counting in them, right?
Why?
Because, like, the biggest fear in a field trip is that you lose a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, like, if I take kids to Dallas, they, like, meet at the train station and you have to count them. And then we go to the train platform and then you have to count them. Then you have to get on the train and then count them again to make sure that all the ones are on the platform, you know, are in the train. So there's, like, this constant counting, right? Okay, but Dr. Gordon wouldn't count. She would just say, like, okay, we're going to stop at this gas station. You've got 10 minutes. And, like, in 10 minutes, the bus is going to leave. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, I just remember this one time that I had fallen asleep. And I wake up, and we're pulling out of this gas station. So I was like, oh, you know, Dr. Gordon, like, do we have all the kids? She's like, well, we better. And I was like, ha, ha, ha. I was like, but did you take roll? She's like, no, I told them in 10 minutes we're going to roll out. And I was like, stop the bus! Stop the bus! And I made the bus driver, like, stop so we can, like, count them. Because if we had left one, like, if, like, kid was in the bathroom or whatever, like, it's like 8 hours. So your parents would have to come get you.
That sounds like Dr. Gordon, that she does not give a fuck. Like, did not.
She's one of my favorite coworkers. I love her. I mean, like, the stuff that she would do with science, you know, stuff. Yeah. But I also, like, learned a lot from her of, like, oh man, I stressed out a lot of stuff. And she's like, doesn't. Yeah. I'm like, it's all fine.
It's like she had nothing to lose.
But I respected and admired her a lot for, like I said, like, you know, kids learn science. Yeah, I mean, kids, like, really learn science.
By her.
But you learned science.
We did learn science. Did I learn science?
You did learn science.
I can't remember anything that I learned about science.
Yeah, but you also don't remember anything about, like, English class, do you?
I remember a few things. I remember memories from science class that I had with my classmates.
Okay, going back to, like, the, like, middle school being a thing.
Yeah.
I read this article that, like, your memories... I keep bringing this up in this podcast because it just, like... I just think about it a lot. That, like, evidently the memories that you create when you're 12 and 13 have the strong, like, the longest staying power of any that you make in your entire life. Which is why, like, we remember books that we read when we were 13.
Mm-hmm. I remember Wrinkle in Time. I remember, what's the only one I remember?
That's not true. You were, like, who was your favorite singer when you were 13?
It was Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wrote a persuasive argument paper about why Taylor Swift and Harry Styles weren't fake dating.
And were they?
Yeah, they were. I think so. Maybe. I don't know. I still believe that they love each other. I mean, she made an entire album about him, so.
I'm just saying, you probably know every single word to that album.
I do.
Because of this thing with, like, sticky memory and 13.
Sometimes someone will be like, do you remember this? And I'm like, whoa, I do remember that. And it's just in the deepest parts of my brain where they pull out memories. And I'm like, I do remember that. So do you remember what else we read my 7th grade year?
I'm distracted because, have you ever seen the movie Stand By Me?
Yes.
Where they find the dead body?
No, we're talking about a different one.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
Yes,
I've never seen that.
What are you even talking about?
Stand By Me, they find a dead body.
Yeah.
Who does it have in it?
It has a young Will Wheaton. It has young, what's his face? River Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I know,
Phoenix.
he's so handsome.
He's so handsome.
And young Kiefer Sutherland. Just like it's like a lot of young actors. Yeah. And it's based on a short story by Stephen King. And then the narrator is Richard Dreyfuss.
The Raven. You read The Raven.
Yes, we did.
There we go.
Yes, we did. All right.
I was thinking horror.
Yeah. But in the movie, like, the part of the narration that the narrator says that, like, the friends that you make when you're 12, like, you never have another friend like that again. And so, like,
I believe, I 100%.
Well, I kind of worry that, like, is that really a cognitive neuroscience article that I read, or am I just, like, extrapolating Richard Dreyfuss's
Because I think
narration?
A lot of our firsts are in middle school. Like, we get our first period, we have our first kiss, we get our first best friends. Like, I truly remember feeling like I had best friends with Evelyn and Vanessa.
Who aren't they roommates?
Yeah, they are roommates right now.
That's so
Evelyn's
I love that so
home.
Much. What?
To UTA.
We're gonna have to put that off podcast because I want to know.
Safety reasons too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, No, well, I love it that you guys know each other in college. Like, because there are a lot of students at UNT that have known each other since you were my students.
Like,
yeah,
Myra,
which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of beautiful, actually.
I think so too.
Do you know any? Like, did you know how many UT students did you know coming in?
Half of my grade went to UT. The other half went to like A&M. I feel like my grade did.
Do you still see them?
Yeah, occasionally I'll say hi. Like, they were my best friends. I just talk to them every now and then. But people coming in, knew nobody. No, I knew Raul.
So I'm just, like, getting from the tone of your voice, like, was it a deliberate move that, like, okay, now I'm in college, I'm gonna, like, cultivate different friendships, or you just, like, kind of grow apart once you get to college?
No, I wanted to meet new people.
Yeah.
If I wanted to stay back in high school, I would have gone to school with my best friends. Followed them.
This is the thing with the homesickness, right?
Yeah.
Is that, like, you can feel homesick, and at the same time, you have this desire to, like, go out and branch out.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I was so shocked when it happened to me, because
Right.
I remember literally counting down the days till I left. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm ready for something new. As soon as I got something new, I was like, this is terrifying. I want to go back home.
But because it's a transition period.
Yeah.
Like, and the transition period is really painful. But, like, I think that you're so right to, like, want to cultivate those new friendships, because, like, in cultivating those new friendships, you're also cultivating different parts of yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a space there between these are the people I was really close to and really comfortable with, and here are new people, and before those new people become, like, your people,
You just have to do it all over again. It's starting everything again all over again. All these people that I met in high school and middle school, meeting new people, meeting new friends. I have to do it all over again. And that was just the rough period of those, again, middle school and high school. Like, no one frequently remembers how hard that was. They just like, oh yeah, remember like when we became friends? And you're like, oh yeah, I don't remember when we met because it was so awkward.
I was just talking to my friend Sandra yesterday, who was a guest earlier on this podcast, and we were talking about like this stage that either happens or doesn't happen, where you have this realization that like the way that you grew up is not the way everybody grew up, and like the way your family is not the way everybody's family is, and like for a lot of people that happens at college, you know, and like that can be very, I mean, like that is the cause of like a lot of personal growth, but it's also very like, oh, you know, like my experience can't necessarily be extrapolated to everybody else's experience. And like in college, you meet people who come from so many different kinds of families and who have so many different kinds of points of view. I mean, like, okay, I'm sorry to keep bringing up politics, but like, did you find that like people's political views were different here than in high school or in Fort Worth?
That was another reason I wanted to come over here. It was because I thought that, you know, everyone here is so more like-minded like me. I will find friends so much easier. I will find people who can educate me better. And I came here and I still found racist people here. And I was like, what? That makes no sense. Like, you know, I was told that there would be no racist people here, and you know, there's racist people here. There's racist people everywhere. So
yeah. That's I don't know that I had that expectation when I went to college. But I also like didn't have that expectation because I just didn't think about race.
Yeah.
Like I just like I went to school in New Hampshire. I had grown up in Texas, and I just like I didn't know that there were entire states that were basically all white. Yeah. You know, so I didn't have a full conception of where I was going until I actually arrived there.
Me either. I had never visited UT until I got here for orientation. And then I got here, I was like, this campus is not the prettiest. But I mean, I have no other choice. I was just like, we could do a lot better here.
But the area is beautiful.
Yeah, just like sometimes Austin is really weird. Like, there was this one time we had no clean water. And
What are you talking about?
We had no clean water for about 3 weeks. And we had to buy water bottles and water gallons. We couldn't brush our teeth with it because it was like full of lead. Yeah. And I was like, really?
My eyes are getting so big listening to you.
Because I was like, this would never happen in Fort Worth. Fort Worth could never, you know? They would never let this happen.
Okay. This is like not the best stopping point, but I feel like we need to stop here because I'm looking at the time and I really want us to talk about adventures. So this is the end of this episode. Since we're at this podcasting festival, I feel like I should have like a more graceful segue into, you know, subscribe, look at whatever, but this is still awkward. So if you're listening, if you like Lady Splady, review, subscribe. You can always contact me on at Lady Splady on Twitter, and I'm happy to answer any questions. So Miranda, thank you for being my guest, and thank you for being like a beautiful human. I'm so excited about what, you know, the future holds for you.
Do you guys hear her? She's being so nice to me.
Oh my gosh. And I'm also just so delighted that Mariah is going to be a teacher. It's going to be... Mariah, if you're listening, you hang in there and you come by ALA anytime you need to, and we will like give you all the lesson plans and advice that you could possibly want.
I'll do that. That'll
okay. All right. Okay. Lady Splady out.